Do you feel like you're stuck or find yourself attracting the same type of relationships and negative experiences, or just not manifesting what you want in life? Welcome to Heal Your Story. I'm your host, Heidi Dellaire. Here we discuss all things life, love, relationships, the relationship with yourself, and the stories we tell about ourselves and others. I help people get out of their busy heads and get back in touch with their heart space to learn self-love and help heal their story. I'm a heart space and relational coach, a holistic health practitioner, and author at HeidiDellaire.com and LoveWideOpen.com. Let's go hold some heart space together. Hey all, today I am back with a new episode, and we're talking about the link between fibromyalgia, chronic pain, and emotionally sensitive people like highly sensitive people, HSPs, and empaths. You know, I'm no stranger to fibro, and fibro is a very strange companion. I walk alongside, it walks alongside of me like a shadow, and I walk alongside this shadow all the time. Like, when are you going to flare? When are you going to be around for a couple of months, or is this going to be lasting forever? It's invisible to others, yet it's really painfully present every step of the way. And for me, living with fibro and chronic pain, it's been a deeply emotional and physical journey, right? One that I never anticipated early on in life, but have learned to navigate over the last 20 years or so. And so chronic pain has shaped me into who I am today, especially as someone who identifies as an empath and a highly sensitive person. And the link between our emotional world and our physical bodies is really kind of undeniable. And for those of us who feel everything deeply, this connection between the key to understanding and healing and chronic pain, this is everything. So what is fibromyalgia, you may ask? Some may have heard of it. Some may think it doesn't exist. I'm going to tell you it does. Fibromyalgia, it's a chronic disorder of the nervous system. It's characterized by widespread musculoskeletal pain, often accompanied by fatigue, sleep disturbances, memory issues, mood fluctuations, and neurological responses, and a long list of other things. It's not simply a condition of your body. It's also a condition of the mind as well. It encompasses the mind. So while fibromyalgia has physical symptoms that are expressed, the emotional toll it takes can be just as profound. So every day can feel like a battle. And there are days when the fatigue can be so overwhelming that even getting out of bed feels impossible. I know how that feels. I had about 12 years ago, and also one recently, a flare, where in the morning I was like, oh my God, my hands are so swollen and painful, like literally like sausage hand. And I'm like, I don't want to put my feet down on the floor because I know that I'm going to feel pain in my Achilles tendons, and how stiff my ankles, feet, and calves will be. And I literally like hobble like I'm 85 or older to the bathroom in the morning until I can kind of get going and get things loosened up. Like really, muscles just like lock down. And the pain can fluctuate. Sometimes it's sharp and intense, and sometimes a dull ache that settles in your muscles and bones. Sometimes for people it can be constant, God love you, and sometimes it can come in flares like myself, and I hope it doesn't become constant, but I am equipped with the tools to help myself if it does. So, and there's the emotional side of it, the frustration, sadness, and often a real feeling of isolation and depression that can come with it with chronic pain. So you may ask, like, how does chronic pain differ from acute pain, right? Like, acute pain kind of serves a real purpose. Okay, think you broke your finger. It's a signal that something is wrong and needs immediate attention. While chronic pain, it lingers far beyond its usefulness, and it becomes a constant background noise that's really kind of impossible to ignore, especially for those of us who feel things far more intensely. And the nervous system plays a real crucial role in chronic pain, often becoming overly sensitive and reactive. And this heightened state of alertness is something I've really come to understand as an HSP. Like, ooh, really, really heightened. And my nervous system isn't just responding to physical pain, it's reacting to emotional pain, stress, and even the energy of others around me. So, who are highly sensitive people and empaths? Highly sensitive people, otherwise known as HSPs, they process the world on a really, really deep level. We absorb emotions, sounds, and all kinds of sensory information in a way that others may not. And this heightened awareness can be both a gift and a challenge, particularly when it comes to managing physical health. And then, what does it mean to be an empath? As an empath, I often feel what others are feeling, right? Like absorb the feelings of other people. It's as though the emotions of those around me really kind of seep into my energy field. And that constant influx of emotional information would be really overwhelming for people, especially when they're already dealing with physical pain. Now, I have learned really good energy boundaries and can put up like an energy force field almost to not take on the energy of others. And that took time to learn how to do. So emotionally sensitive individuals, they often have a nervous system that's really highly attuned to both emotional and physical stimulus. This means that stress, anxiety, or emotional triggers can manifest as physical symptoms, exacerbating conditions like fibromyalgia. So, this emotional trigger connection. I've learned that when I or my clients are emotionally triggered, that the body reacts, whether it's stress, sadness, or even overwhelming joy. The muscles tense up, the pain can flare, and the fatigue worsens. Emotional triggers are like sparks that set off a chain reaction in the body. The mind and body, they are inextricably linked. When we experience emotional pain, our bodies often mirror that distress. Chronic pain conditions like fibromyalgia become a physical manifestation of unresolved emotional wounds. And you guys have heard me talk about this before, and this comes from my Ayurveda training and being an Ayurvedic practitioner, is that when we can't digest emotions, let me back up even, like, let's just make it about food, right? So we take in food and we try to digest that food. And sometimes we can, and sometimes we can't, based on the food, how our body is, what we're doing, like our lifestyle. And so if we can't digest food, what does it do? It causes issues, weight gain, high blood pressure, like all kinds of things if we can't digest food. Well, we respond to emotions in the exact same way. We have emotions come in and into our body and our nervous system and our emotional response center. And sometimes we can digest those and release them. Sometimes those emotions stay stuck. And when emotions stay stuck, the body doesn't know what to do with it because it can't digest it, and does the same thing it does with food. It just pushes it out into the body somewhere and it becomes stuck, and that manifests as pain, right? Like tendonitis that isn't caused from physical pain, muscle tension, like all kinds of things, neuropathy that isn't caused from diabetes or other neurological conditions. So we have the ability to digest emotions or not, and that comes with emotional regulation and nervous system regulation mastery. But I'll talk about that later. What's the intersection between fibro or chronic pain and emotional sensitivity? There's no coincidence to me that many highly sensitive people and empaths are diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Our heightened sensitivity makes us far more vulnerable to chronic pain because our bodies absorb not only physical stimuli, but emotional ones too. And we feel everything, sometimes too much, and it shows up in our physical health, right? And when we're emotionally drained, it's not just our minds that suffer. Physical symptoms often follow suit. The body and the mind, they're so intertwined that our emotional burnout can lead to debilitating pain, fatigue, and other fibromyalgia symptoms. So, how does stress magnify physical pain? Stress is a major trigger for fibromyalgia flares. The more stress you experience, the worse your pain becomes. It's as if your body and mind are locked in this never-ending cycle of tension and discomfort. And I can talk about this. And if you have followed me for a while, you may remember this, that in 2024, 14 years ago, I was going to say 12 years ago, no, 14 years ago, I was in a very stressful situation. My job was horrendous. And I started to develop panic attacks. I was stressful. Like my body just locked up. I was in physical pain everywhere. I was having neurological symptoms that ran from the back of my calves all the way up into my head, like this. I was tested for everything. And of course, on the outside, I was absolutely fine. But the stress level caused my underlying neurological response to go wacko, right? So what fibromyalgia is that our central nervous system receives pain signals and transmits pain signals completely incorrectly. I was in one of those bouts. So when I removed the trigger, the emotional trigger that was a job that I hated, I felt, like it was soul sucking. I wasn't happy. When I got rid of that job, my stress level went away, and guess what? Almost all of my symptoms, they kind of went away. So stress. When we're stressed, the body produces cortisol, fight, flight, freeze, fawning. And it's the hormone that prepares us to deal with challenges, right? Totally handy when we're in a crisis situation. And then when that's over, cortisol levels reduce. But when we're in this prolonged stress, it causes the body to remain in this level of, readiness all the time. And when we're in that heightened state of alert, it causes all of our symptoms and the neurological states to fire off, and our fibro symptoms become worse. One of the really important things to remember is that we can regulate our emotions. These emotions that come in and knock us out and create havoc within our nervous system and within our body, we have the ability to regulate those. And this is the pathway to relief. So understanding emotional regulation, one of the most important things I have learned on this journey is how to regulate my emotions. It's not about avoiding feelings or pushing them away. It's really about finding ways to process and release these emotions so that they do not get stuck in my body, which then manifests as pain. I have learned several different techniques, and these techniques I now teach my clients and students. Their grounding techniques, such as deep breathing, meditation, and somatic exercises, they have been lifesavers for me and my clients, and within all of the Ayurveda and advanced cognitive healing techniques I have learned, they've really helped to calm my nervous system, allowing me to release emotional tension before it settles into the physical pain, right? So this is the Heal Your Story method that I have now developed, that I have taken all that I have learned and I've kind of morphed it into a way that it's not just about breathing. It's not just about tapping. It's a whole integration and transformational process to, not just to get through a moment, but to get to the root cause, get to the trigger, and what then triggers the emotion that then triggers the physical or then heightened emotional response within us and sets our nervous system totally on roar. So yeah, I'll get to that a little bit more, right? There is power in empathy, and in today's world, I think some of us have forgotten empathy in a way. But we are empathic human beings, and there can be situations that happen to us that remove our empathy or block our empathy from us. However, empathy is powerful. The connections I have formed with others who understand my struggles and sort of what I've come through, they've been a crucial part of my healing process in the past, and still now. And it's comforting to know that I'm not alone in this journey, right? Like, I have really good providers, friends, natural healers, teachers who have guided me and who have allowed me to then create the space for then my clients and my students, and allowing them to see that they are not alone when dealing with very tough emotions that are then causing them potentially physical pain or even heightened emotional pain. So, as an empath, it is really easy to absorb the pain of others and emotions of others. But I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, like that physical energy field of boundary, and protecting my own energy so that I don't become emotionally or physically depleted anymore around what I will call, well, no, just around the emotions of others, right? And my clients will tell me sometimes, if I don't always have my energy field up with my clients because I want to understand even more. That they walk in the room and I'm like, whoa, I can feel it, and I often cry before they do. But there are benefits to learning how to force field your energy. So how do you navigate life with chronic pain as a sensitive person? Living with fibro as an HSP or an empath, it really requires a delicate balance of self-care, emotional awareness, self-awareness, physical management. And I've learned to honor, downtime. I've learned to honor my sensitivity and create a lifestyle that nurtures both my emotional and physical well-being. So let's talk about the word lifestyle. Our lifestyle can exacerbate anything. We can just take just your being, right? You are a loaded gun for something, bliss or pain, and we're somewhere in between. And your emotions and your lifestyle are the trigger to that gun. Your lifestyle can harm you or hurt you and dissipate or enhance all emotional and physical pain. Okay, so I'm going to say this really loud and really pay attention to this. Self-care is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And whether it's taking time for self, practicing mindfulness, or incorporating gentle movement into your day, or learning techniques that I teach to help manage pain, you can live a more fulfilling life. Now, I understand this from my own experience and that of my clients and students. My personal experience, right, can often be an emotional roller coaster, honestly, when dealing with pain. And it was 14 years ago. It was like things were kind of nuts then, because it was a state of chaos. And there have been many moments when I have felt overwhelmed and by either physical or emotional pain, and that toll comes out in the fibro and the chronic pain symptoms. But through all of it, I've learned to acknowledge my feelings and my emotions, do not push them away. And I find ways to release them for my healing. And I can still find bliss and joy in life every single day. So this was not easy, but by embracing my sensitivity, I found ways to heal. And grounding techniques, emotional support, self-awareness, they've all helped me not just to survive, but thrive, right? Despite the challenges of chronic pain and fibromyalgia. I became an emotional health and empowerment coach, trained in Ayurveda, massage, shiatsu, Reiki, somatic healing techniques, meditation and mindfulness, and advanced cognitive healing techniques. I also have a very strong knowledge of the body through medical physiology. And I developed the Heal Your Story method, which I mentioned earlier, which is, it involves 4 phases. And I've helped numerous students and clients through each of these 4 phases to how to learn and master their emotions through emotional regulation mastery. We're going to wrap up here. Fibromyalgia, it's complex. It's a really complex condition. And I don't even like to label myself with it. I often just say I sometimes have emotional triggers that I can't digest that cause me pain. And that's a symptom that has a actual event or has a root cause. I don't just like to put the blanket label over myself, but it's a very complex condition. And for those of us who are really emotionally sensitive, it can feel even more overwhelming. Trust me, there is hope. And by understanding the link between our emotions and our bodies, and especially our nervous system, we can begin to heal physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's really time to honor your sensitivity, embrace self-care, and take steps toward a healthier, more balanced life. If you'd like help finding more balance, please contact me. You can find links to do so in the show notes or comments section of this recording. And one thing I forgot to mention is that in the Western world, women will often get labeled with fibromyalgia, and men will get labeled with PTSD. And if you really look at them, they have kind of all of the same triggers and emotional and physical pain manifestations. So that's, I treat them one as the same as a trauma-informed coach. So there's that. Again, if you want help, reach out. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Sending lots of love.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Heal Your Story. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find me, my coaching services, my book, or book a Heal Your Story strategy session at HeidiDellaire.com. For other self-development articles, go to lovewideopen.com. And you can also follow me at Heidi Dellaire or Love Wide Open on all social media channels. Thanks so much. Sending lots of love.